Namaste, beautiful yogis. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about how to deal with the current times and how to have optimism during the current times. And this is going to be a little bit of not a little bit, this is going to be a metaphysical talk. So if woo is not for you, just come back to the yoga classes. They still have woo in them, of course, because that's me and that's my mind and my reality. But they're mostly about embodiment and bringing the spiritual feel in the physical practice. This is going to be more a contemplation of how to move through these current times, because the times are challenging and there is a lot of support out there, a lot of people that are serving the collective with their light. And you are going also as well to be that light and to serve the collective through the heart with your talents and with those new skills that we're all going to develop that are needed in the new paradigm. So how to deal with the current times? First of all, last year was the year of revelations, apocalypse, which means taking the mask off, revealing truth. And a lot of it was about dismantling, letting go of old beliefs, letting go, surrender, learning to trust, the higher principle of trusting when you're moving forward into the unknown, learning to recognize good and evil, because we're in that archetypal war on consciousness, good versus evil. And also we are going through a paradigm shift, so things seem surreal. Many people say they feel like they're watching a movie. It's surreal. It's almost like the matrix flickering, right? Last year we did a lot, but it's not over. You can do it this year as well. We did a lot of shadow integration. When a person is not has not looked at their darkness and integrated their shadow, they just project it onto others and they hate it in others, and there is an aggressive vibe to it. There is a Jungian psychologist would explain it in their own way. This is more from a different perspective, but I just shared on Telegram a shadow video from Carl Jung. Very interested because it ties into everything we're doing in yoga. But looking at ourselves, so as we integrate our darkness, our shadow, we become whole and we move from the heart, because now we're in resonance. There is no parts, when the shadow is not integrated, when it's unconscious, it takes over the persona, right? So it's far more prominent, far more powerful. It runs the whole ego and the whole personality. So ironically, the more a person denies the existence of their shadow, the more they operate from that place, and then they project it onto things in society, people in society, situations, things, and see it in others and hate it in others, right? And it becomes this very sick relationship. So last year we did a lot of shadow integration, and that always leads to surrender and acceptance and seeing ourselves as divine fractals. Also, the dismantling of the old program and the old language. We all run on programs. The psyche, the unconscious, picks up a lot of programs from society, from when we were children, when we were still not very conscious. And those programs are the unconscious software that runs our life. So because when you have a paradigm shifting time, you're given the opportunity to see things that you've never been able to see about yourself in your life. And dissolving programs that do not serve you. You can, I wrote this on Instagram today, but you can write things that do not serve you, that are part of your program, and you burn them or you throw them in a river. It's all the victimhood stuff. That is probably the deepest and the most prominent and the most damaging and dangerous program. Anything that makes you feel victimized, victim. You're a woman, you're a minority, you're this, you're that, you're anything that makes you run that program, you victimize, that takes all your power away, and on top of it, it puts you in a very angry state. You can raise your frequency, and from there you cannot create a better reality. So dissolving the victimhood program, dissolving the offended program. The last 20 years we had a celebrity culture. Saturn conjunct Jupiter in Taurus brought 20 years of celebrity culture and just kind of like materialism everybody was looking at celebrities online, and it was just a very, very sad period for humanity, which ended with fireworks of 2020. And ironically, I want to say that I'm still not in retrospect of 2020, because there is quite a bit more to see about the year or the period in human history, but I think it was the awakener, because I don't think humanity was anywhere to shift into a new frequency before 2020. So that, even though it looks like the curse and what held people back and put them in fear, I think it awakened such a large seed in humanity that this is going to be the force forward. So what I think is, yes, there is a paradigm shift. And when you have a paradigm shift, the people that first see it, they're absolutely crazy to the rest. It takes a really long time for a paradigm shift on a collective level. So those people will be crazy for a while. But there is a paradigm shift, and when you have a paradigm shift, you can dissolve all the old programs. Now, I think on top of the paradigm shift, which we have had many as a collective, the Copernicus, the sun revolves around the earth, change to the earth moves around the sun. When you have a paradigm shift, I think right now it's because it's the end of the almost 26,000 year cycle of the movement of the solar system. I think beyond the 26,000 years, in a bigger cycle, I think we have a very rare opportunity to expand on a soul level, so to raise the frequency of the soul. So beyond this life, the frequency at which the soul operates, I think we have an opportunity. And I think that was a portal. The official portal was on December 21st, when Jupiter conjunct Saturn in 0 degree of Aquarius. And right now, as we speak, or in a couple of days, it will be 6 planets in Aquarius. And in 2024, Pluto will enter Aquarius. So that is age of Aquarius, slowly marching in. It has started a while back, but those things happen really slow. So as we entered into that portal, we literally entered into a new timeline, into new consciousness for humanity. Those things are really trippy on the physical plane. So it's not that everybody will see it, will feel it, will know it happened, will know in their heart, but that is what happened. What is needed of you is to be always like a sequoia. I just showed a class, Sequoia Tree Yoga. It was a powerful class. It will be free on YouTube, so I invite you to come and practice with me. I talked a lot about the current times. But as a sequoia, you are a tree in the storm. You just watch the storm wish around and ruffle everything around you, and you're an observer in the heart, totally connected, deep roots into the earth, bringing structured water into the system as a creative force, staying in the heart, so your neutrality. And from that place, expanding into the cosmic consciousness, having that upgrade, but also through the heart, bringing yourself to your new alignment with your renewed soul frequency, right? Because we literally jumped in a way I don't think we've been able to jump in probably more than thousands of years, probably millions of years, as far as soul expansion and walking into a new paradigm, walking into a new consciousness. So as we're in the heart, we're going to see here the seeds of the new humanity, new earth, new humanity that we are building. It all starts only in the etheric realm, as a seed, as a vision, as an intention. And from there, in the heart, you sustain that frequency continuously, observing the storm around you, because the storm will end. And from that alignment, from that higher frequency that we are maintaining, you move forward into that new creation of new reality. And you will be able to tap into your true sole purpose talents to serve the collective, because we're all going to rebrand probably how we serve and participate in society. A lot of jobs that were part of the old earth will die, and a lot of new things will be needed. New educators in new types of schools that are more earth-oriented schools. So those teachers will be teachers from the heart, that serve that most precious part of humanity, the children. There will be new ways to heal. Right now it's accelerated healing. You can heal instantaneous. You can be in a new way creative. You can begin to serve in new ways of doing healing work and service work all together, serving others and being light for others. We're all pulling each other forward. What I think happened, many talk about it, and for some of you it's a stretch. For some of you, you've heard it many times. The first time I heard it, I was probably 18, and it just like clicked, like it was just the missing piece. But there was a split in humanity, because we are of different consciousness, and we have been in different consciousness for a long time, but we could work with it. We could coexist with it. Now it's becoming two different consciousnesses forming, almost like timelines or streams of realities, and they're not exactly parallelizing. This is my opinion or my view, and it will shift as where we're going. Shifts, of course, because this is all very fluid and changing as we change. But you have to have the vision, because through the vision and through that frequency and neutrality, not getting pulled around in your emotions. That's why no victimhood, not being offended, not being emotional reactive, because that's a way to get manipulated. But being here, being in your power, being your conscious creator, and from that, with your vision, we all, with that collective vision, we all create that new humanity. And those two consciousnesses forming, streams of consciousnesses, timelines forming. One would be that dystopian timeline that we've all seen in the movies, and the other will be new humanity, the new consciousness forming. And we're talking hundreds of years before it is kind of in the first stage of its formation. This is the bridge. We're the bridge generation. And in many ways, that is more exciting than living in the thousands years of peace, the 2000 years of peace, because we are the pioneers. We're going to have to envision it, see it, believe it, trust, have that excitement of new communities forming, new ways to farm, to create food, to create resources, to connect, to connect through the heart, to serve each other, to find ways to serve through our own capacity to share our light, right? So there is a lot that you can prepare yourself for. No more guilt, no more anything, sin, hell, all of that old program. That is the old dystopic paradigm, and we dissolve it. We've dissolved it last year, but you can continue this year to dissolve all those beliefs that hold you back, or karma, or all of those things that keep you in a loop of suffering and self-hatred, right? We gotta come back to the heart with neutrality and love. And that love does not just extend to others. That love is all-encompassing. We're that love. We have it for ourselves as well. And those timelines within the next 50 to 300 years, at first, they're going to just become more and more split as time goes. There will be a time when there is going to be no more parallel or capacity for this to coexist or to communicate with each other, to the timelines, because one is dystopian, is control, is fear, a failing immune system, anxiety, and just kind of a psychopathic reality, the way we've seen it in many movies in Hollywood. And the other one, of course, is the seedlings of new earth and a humanity that is based on a heart frequency, love frequency, which is anyways the fabric, the principle that is the building block of reality. Less polarity. This one is lots of darkness. And here we mitigate polarity, and because we integrate the shadow, so as we integrate our personal shadow, we integrate the collective shadow. We no longer see evil as an external something out of us. We see it as a part of our own psyche, and that way we can integrate it.
Mama?
Yes, Lottie, I'm shooting a video. Do you want to come in a little bit back?
No, actually, I need to put my bags in the car.
Your bike in the car? Ask Daddy.
No,
Ask Daddy.
no, actually, he says, what
I'll after I finish the video, okay?
No, you get it and then you can...
Alright, so I had to interrupt and I really wanted to just say it in one long, in one long line. Because when you're a mom, you always, everything is stealing a little bit of time for yourself. Anyways, I had to stop. So this will just add a whole nother process of it, having to edit the video. And I also lost my train of thought. But now somewhere about the lines and 50 to 300 years. Now, these are irrelevant because time is quickening. If we talk about this same subject next year, it might look completely different because reality is shifting based on our own consciousness, and that's why I'm reaching out to you, because we all have to hold that higher frequency vision for where humanity is going. And everything happens, what I see with this timeline for new humanity, and with this one, I see that you'll be able to opt in or out on any one of them, and your consent is needed in anything that happens to your destiny, because there is a level of soul freedom that we're attaining during these times, and especially with the age of Aquarius. And at some point the split will become so big that as souls depart, or humans depart from the earth, they'll start being reborn either on a parallel frequency planet, because there's so many dimensions besides so many densities, so many dimensions, so many universes and multiverses and omniverses, and an omniverse implies also the layers of realities. So souls will begin to come back, to be reborn in places that are based on their frequency, because there will be new earth, high frequency earth, which is Gaia. Gaia is now rising in frequency. The Schumann resonance is rising. We're given the opportunity to very slowly adjust to that new frequency, so it doesn't blow our circuits out. And no one knows who is ascending and who is not, or who is moving to what. We're not guaranteeing anything. We are asked to be in the heart and to have trust. Trust, no, the word is faith, actually, to really have deep faith in our divine essence, as a divine fractal that contains all of reality within itself, as every fractal does. Every cell contains the entire universe, or the smallest, not cell, the smallest particle that exists contains the entire universe in itself. So as souls depart from this earth, speaking of which, they'll start being reborn in the places that they are of resonant frequency. So there will be places that are at the Earth's frequency a few hundred years ago, thousand years ago, so they'll have that chance to work through the stuff that they didn't work through. And then other souls will move into New Earth, which is going to be the thing that we are beginning to build and envision and see as a new society, new system, a new way of, for the first time, free science. So there can be zero energy, and moving in faster ways, and connecting to the earth in ways, knowing our history, knowing the galactic history, and things that are just unthinkable for the old world. So speaking of death, that's another thing we worked last year. It's very important to dissolve the fear of death, because that fear, it really holds people in a fear frequency and traps them in that dystopic paradigm, because that is something that is inevitable, and the soul is eternal. The soul is the consciousness is indestructible. And once we realize that, and we realize that we are always free to choose, something that I think held souls here, because we didn't know about that freedom. We didn't realize our true essence, and now we're beginning to slowly learn. We're coming from a few hundred years of deep materialism on earth, where the spiritual was so out of our scope of how we perceive and experience reality, and thus we only created a very thick material reality with very slow karma. Karma was very slow to pay off. Healing was slow. There was like generational healing that we need to do. We carry generational karma, and all of this is going to be a part of the old earth. And again, we're not going to see in the next 80 years or whatever the new earth. We're going to begin slowly to now see the dismantling of the old and the seedlings, the idea, the vision, the heart space for the new. And we have to hold it with faith and with that connection to beauty, connection to each other, that higher frequency of love, self-forgiveness, very needed. And also reaching in to see how you can serve, how you can be the light. There's going to be so many opportunities to begin to teach in new ways, to begin to serve in new ways, to participate in society, to grow food. There is just going to be so much that we will be able to do for each other. And we have to get excited about that, because we don't want to stay in this fear frequency that has been created. And even though they created it, I don't think it was as powerful as it was meant to be. A lot of people just snapped into realizing so many things and learning so many things. Learn new things. Yes, there is amazing online courses. I know a lot of people feel that online is a bad thing. But online is neutral. It's how we use it. You can use it to better yourself, to develop your psychic abilities, to learn how to garden, to teach people what I'm doing, and teaching that will change that word as well. It's gonna be just holder of space or igniter, or just igniting something within you, a person that communicates something that you already have within, whatever. It just, for now we're using the old word, so we know what we're talking about. But there's gonna be so many new healing modalities, many ways to grow really nutritious and high frequency food. As we move, I mentioned the Schumann resonance, but also we're moving out of a galactic dust cloud. My teacher Ben Sadhuno said that we were in, I think, 2000 year galactic dust. So as we move out of it, we're also moving out of Kali Yuga. And it's probably the same thing. He just, he said it, Kali Yuga and dust cloud. So more neutrinos, and we're also moving closer to the central sun, so more neutrinos, light particles are going to start to come in, so we're going to begin to hold more light in a more literal level, and will become more light. So we've sunk down through the layers of densities to the densest possible layer, so we're as dense as we can be. There is very little there has been very little psychic quality to us in the recent past, and they were witch hunted. The psychics, there was a lot of stigma and taboo around people that had prophetic dreams or ability to see beyond the physical field, which is only an illusion. It is a mind space. It is what we create through the capacity, the law of mirrors. Perception, we perceive from our frequency level, and then we create the same thing we see. So it becomes this repeating loop, and to get out of it, you resolve the fears, you remove the programs, the anything that is, you can feel when you talk to someone. Feel, do you sink, do you fly, do you get inspired? Is there an opening, an expansive feeling, or do you begin to contract, do you begin to sink? Sometimes the truth is not very inspiring when you don't know it, as far as our reality, because there's plenty of yoga teachers and spiritual people that will not talk about duality, and that is very dangerous, absolutely very dangerous. It's like the shadow stuff, only light, only love. There's no evil, no understanding of evil, and that is the fastest way to just be controlled by evil and just be enveloped by it. So we have to, Steiner and Ben Sadhuno, they talk a lot about that duality, about the dark and the light and all of that, because we have to learn to discern and to see reality. So we know when we see something evil, it doesn't sink us. we can just observe it with neutrality. We don't hate it because we understand that everything is one. It's all one, and it's all a play that is playing itself out, and we're all characters, and you just have compassion towards it. Yesterday I heard a really good, interesting lecture. I think it was on a Gnostic movement in Bulgaria from the 1200s or 12th century. But he said that one of the main things was love your enemy. If you cannot love your enemy, then you're doing absolutely nothing. Because loving the enemy, and that is again also ties into the shadow, that's how we rise out of the paradigm. When there is hatred, everything sinks, and we can transform it, and also fear rises out of that. But when we begin to rise out of that frequency and we have love, that doesn't mean we accept it, it doesn't mean we empower it. It means that we have the capacity and the inner light to see. Because when we can't even look at it and say what it is, we're definitely not part of the solution. We're definitely not dissolving it. We're definitely not dismantling it. We're definitely not generating more light, no matter how many light words we say and rainbows. The point is, through developing your own inner power, to be able to sit with it all, see it with neutrality, and then choose your vision and your frequency and what you're building. Those are, I think I packed in a lot in this video. There is a lot more to say. I mean, I've contemplated this for 20 years, 20 more. I first heard about the idea of the splitting reality. I might have been 17, I'm not sure, between 16 and 18, somewhere there. And this was like the missing, this was just, it set my soul on fire. I realized we're going to have a once in a many lifetimes opportunity to raise out of a paradigm, to raise out of an old frequency, old loop, because Earth, for whatever reason, was hard to ascend from, to get out of. People die, go to the astral, which is part of the same physical field, only one layer less physical, but still physical, still in the body, still holding identity and physical. Just the ego is dissolved, but the astral body and the identity of the astral. So again, a physical layer is what I'm trying to say. You get what I mean. And then due to the program running, oh sin, oh hell, oh karma, oh you have to go back for this, or you didn't do this right, oh all these programs, people come right back in, and it's the same loop. And it's because of the level of polarity here. Life is painful often here. You know, there is always sickness, and everybody's. Hold on, my light went out. All right, so my light went out, and now this is gonna have shifting light. I have a very moon glow right now, but I'll finish. Because of this place of such harsh polarity, suffering is very exaggerated here, and everybody is seeing the suffering because that's the program, that's the culture, that's the history books, that's the storytelling for children. Everything is about telling the story of suffering and polarity and sickness and death and poverty and misery and genocide and torture, and you know, the human history, you've heard it all. So we see it, we believe it, we accept it, then we create it, because reality is only an illusion. That is a very deep Buddhist statement, that everything is mind and every reality is an illusion. And basically, in a more modern words, it means it's a hologram, and we're the part of the creation of the hologram, because we are part of the manifestation of that hologram. We see it and we recreate it, law of mirrors. So we see only through the frequency we're at and through the program we have running. Think of program as software. We have to upgrade the software to see it differently. And one of the upgrades is gratitude, because we see it and now all of a sudden, yep, I'm thankful for it. And I also see myself as a soul, as an eternal consciousness, and I'm here to expand, and I'm here to serve, and I'm here to tap into my talents. And as you lift, you see it in a different way, you create it in a different way, so now your loop is a little higher frequency, and then you You lift out of that loop, and so forth and so forth. And when that adds on top of actually the collective lifting, and now we're, end of Kali Yuga, entering the photon belt, which is part of the galaxy we're entering with more light, a place with more actual light. As we enter that, we physically begin to hold more light in the body, so we become a little less dense, we become to have more senses, and we become to be more telepathic with each other. And the more telepathic we become, we less and less there are liars in society. There are no more of resonance. There's less of that movement, of that part of society that is regressive. We begin to be able to discern and not consent to what is dark, by being able to first see it within and integrate it and see it in others, then choose. It's this whole link of a dog. So those are the tools. I think I mentioned so many tools, but it is removing what doesn't serve, the victimhood, guilt, the old program, the belief in suffering, removing everything. Also stepping away from fear, completely stepping away from fear, completely. The fear of death is one of the big ones. And also learning a lot, being around people that uplift you and people that are guides and light. And you also tapping into your own light to be that for others. And if you think, oh, I work this and that job right now, it's in the matrix, I'm plugged in, I have to do this in a bank or whatever. Things are shifting so fast. Have the vision, because your light will be needed, and you're going to be able to tap into that light and be of service to humans, with what you are, with who you are, with what you channel. And because thoughts are just frequencies, like channeling a frequency or tapping into a channel or tapping into a radio station. So they're not our own, so we don't generate thoughts. We keep ourselves at a certain frequency, and that frequency lets us to tap into that pool, that stream of consciousness. Anyways, I think I said enough. Keep your body healthy, meditate, do a lot of yoga. I'm doing trees yoga because that is it. I'm gonna use the energies of the planets now. I'm studying astrology every day. My mind is on fire with the astrology stuff. I have right now Uranus transiting my ascendant, and it's dot connecting. Electric revolutionary mind. But anyways, take care of yourself. Ground yourself daily with stones, with earth, with trees, with yoga, with breathing, with nourishing foods, so that your body is healthy. Take a little bit back to yourself. So only from a full cup can you give. Fill your cup. Rest, sleep, learn to sleep. For me, this was a massive realization. When Lottie was born, about 4 years ago, I learned how to completely shut everything. It's almost like a switch. I go to bed, bam, no thoughts, not a single one. I sleep. It was something, maybe I learned it because I was desperate for sleep, or maybe it's just the age, both. But turn it off. And also sometimes with the sleeping issues now with Uranus, a lot of it is people are not grounded. I've heard good stuff about grounding sheets that are plugged and they're grounded, so the body kind of stays in a more magnetic place. EMF protection, all of that really keeps your field really good. Stones, living in stone houses. I have a lot of stone here I live in, and stone in the ground. We literally cannot even farm. It's so much rock beneath, but it feels so good. It's really grounding. Trees, grounding. Sun, it's consciousness. Food, it's consciousness, because it absorbs the sun consciousness. It's and the water element holds that. The structured water holds that consciousness. Anyways, I think that is it. I'll conclude it because I said so much. I packed in a lot of words here. So I hope that made some sense to you. It gave you some hope that what we're building, it won't be overnight looking amazing. We're not going to dismantle the darkness and be like, wow, this is it. Now we're just, in heaven. No, it's going to be a process. So you're asked, and I'm asked, and everybody is asked to be patient, to have a very long-term vision, and to be very strong in who you are, because if we're all easily pushed away in all of that's happening, then what is the hope? We all have to have inner resources and inner strength, and to give that strength to those that need it too. All right. Namaste. Let me know if you have any other suggestions, ideas, etc. And join me for the tree yoga, because it's going to tap into all these current energies.